to the RunRX podcast, where we talk about all things running. As many runners know, it's 90% mental. So join Coach Valerie and Coach Caroline as we go through the mental side of running. Welcome back to the RunRX podcast. I'm your host, Coach Caroline, and I'm here with Coach Valerie. Coach, you had a good question recently in one of the Zooms with our members that asked you basically why you don't race anymore. And we don't talk about racing at all, really. We don't get into that. So I know why I don't race anymore, but why don't you race anymore?
Well, honestly, for me, it's a coaching thing. So it's really fun, by the way, to vicariously race through your members.
Yes, it is.
Through the membership. And I started just like, the fun thing is when I got into running in the beginning, and I've always been a coach. So I started with a very traditional styled running group, where you have members come meet you and everybody goes and they run together. So that's how I started. That's probably how most running coaches start. And so we had that running group. And then the idea was we were always training for something. And I always had people training for, whatever event they were training for. It could be 5K, 10K. We got into the marathons later. And what I would do is I would have different distance running groups. So today we're going to meet, and this is how everybody was training back then. You run so many miles, and then you go do some speed work, do some distance runs, whatnot. Well, what happens is, as the coach, if I'm physically present at all of these training runs, it's very hard to train yourself and be focused on training everyone around you. So in the beginning, I was training myself and others. So then I was participating. So I would also be doing, the physical running, things like that. And I spent, by the way, about 17 years doing that, and would train people for their races. I would run my races, and it just became physically exhausting. And so what I started doing was pulling back on my own racing so I could start focusing on their racing. And the best part, though, was I got to go through the fun of it, the camaraderie of being in running groups, leading people through running groups, pacing people through races. I love the race environment, just everything around it. But after about 17 years and starting the online segue, that was a big thing. Once, I started working with people, started doing clinics, I started traveling more and meeting more people and training more people. Two things happen. One is to really be a high level. I love running. So I love running. I love talking about running. I love teaching running. But what happened, though, is when I was putting so much pressure on myself to also be a really good athlete, there was no way I could balance both, being a really good athlete and also being a really good coach. And so I really love coaching. That's my first love. That's why I got into it. So for me, it was a really simple transition out of racing and into just coaching.
Right. I know that for me, it was a little more like I enjoyed the running, but I didn't enjoy the getting up 3 hours in advance, driving wherever, to then walk the half mile, so that because you always parked farther away so you could get out easier, that sort of thing. It was just always seemed like such drudgery when I could just go out my front door and run. And I know virtuals became really big, and that was always fun. But I found that honestly, after a period of time for me, the motivation to run was less about the race. And we have that a lot within our group, don't we? We've actually had this last week, we had two different people come through and say they got into different races via lottery, didn't they? So can you speak to that motivation that comes with having that race on the calendar, and maybe how we as a membership address that, like between I'm training for a race versus I have no race on the calendar, but I need something to get me out the door besides the love of running.
Right. It's really interesting when most people get into running with a race in mind. Like, I think that's what draws people in. Maybe a 5K or a bucket list marathon is such a big thing. So in our membership, we've got people from all over the world, and someone is always signing up for a race. And then we always have people that are joining us because they're injured and so they're not able to run. And then we have people that are like, I'm not even racing right now. I just want to go running. So what we do for our members is we provide plans for all three. And I think that's the biggest way to stay motivated is having a to do. Because just because I'm not racing doesn't mean I don't need to be doing my strength work, my drills, my interval training. There's still a balance of training that needs to happen for you. I kind of say, even if you're not racing, you should be race ready, right?
Yeah,
If I just want to
absolutely.
walk out, if I just want to walk out my door and run anywhere from 3 miles up to, I don't know, 15 or 20 or plus, I want to feel like I can do that. And that's the fun of having a coach, having a plan, and then really also having the community around you, because it's really fun if you're not running to be able to be supportive to those that are out there, racing or trying these new events. And then also, everyone that's been through RunRX has come in injured. So everybody's been through it or is going through it or is recovering from it. So, we've kind of been on all sides of that. And it's great. Like for me, I love consistency, and I think a lot of runners do that as well. So I laugh because I'm out every morning in the same spot where I do a mix of running, and I do some days it's running, some days it's running mixed with drills, some days it's strength and running. And I see the same runners, coming up and down the road. And I just think that runners, we like that. We like some kind of consistency. So even if you're not training for an event, we still have how to balance your workouts to stay run ready.
Right, absolutely, and that's what I was going to also ask is how do we address that in the membership? She did that pretty well. So basically, what that is that if I come in, I don't have to come in injured, right? I don't have to
Right.
come in
Please.
with
Yeah.
a race on the schedule. I don't have to come in being a previous athlete. I don't have to come in. Okay, I'm coming in and I'm already running, a mile or 2 miles or 10 miles. You take us right where we're at, and with the membership, no matter when that is, whether that's Friday afternoon or it's Wednesday morning, you're going to take me through the process of learning how to run and run pain free and even train for a marathon, right?
Absolutely. And that's the best part, guys. It's the and we call it learning. It's really just getting your efficiency back. And what's fun is, and that's where the accountability comes in. So many people, when we talk to you, when you come in, a lot of us are like, well, I should be doing this. I used to do this. Well, we want to be like, well, here's where you are now. So let's get you from right here to where you want to be. And then also help you learn how to stay there. I mean, that's really also the best part. And why so many of our members stay with us. It's like staying accountability to yourself, stay, and not just for the running, but the running, the strength, the skills, the self-care, all the things that you want to keep doing to keep running.
Absolutely. So, if you are interested in finding out more about us, I hope you'll subscribe to this podcast. Go over to any one of the social media networks. The only one we're not on right now is TikTok, but you can go to Facebook. You can and look up RunRX Fit. You can go to Instagram. It's at RunRX. Go to X. It's at RunRX Fit. Again, both of those, we're probably going to be adding more content to those. We have our YouTube channel, and we're going to be doing something special in the coming weeks around February to kind of get you back out there. But if you are interested in working with Valerie and working with me on mindset, and finding out how to meet that running goal. And that can be, I just want to be able to run pain free. It might be, I want to be able to keep in run with my kids, or in my case, my dog, and not have to pull something, right? I want to stay race ready, or I have a bucket list item where I want to go out there and run a marathon. You can go to runrx.fit. That's RUN.FIT. And right there on the main page, you can learn about Valerie. You can take our quiz if you haven't already, and you can also sign up for the membership. We currently have the membership going where basically you can just sign up for a month. It's a month to month. We've decided not to force anybody to commit. There are so many memberships right now that we're all trying to juggle between Hulu and YouTube and HBO and Cinemax and our membership for our foods or our DoorDash or whatever. There's so many memberships out there. I am constantly having to check them. So I get it where some months are better than others. Maybe you come in for a month, maybe you leave for a month. Maybe you come in for a couple months because you want to train for a particular race. Maybe you sign up for a full year and then you back off for a couple of months. The point is, we don't change. We're still here. We're still teaching pose, fall, pull, skill, strength, and self care. And Valerie and I might change our hairstyles, but we don't change what we teach. So we really hope you join us for a little bit, see what we're all about. Stick around if you want, or feel free to go and come as you please. We're here for you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining us on the RunRX podcast. If you'd like to know more, join us at www.runrx.fit. And if you have additional questions that you'd like answered on the podcast, email us at support@runrx.fit.